In this lesson we will talk about a very powerful instrument that we can use to control our lights in Vray and 3ds Max. We will talk about Vray Light Lister. This is like a general manager where we can load all the settings for all our lights in the scene, and we can control that using just one panel. So let's start from the very beginning. I'll open our previous scene and I'll try to show how that light lister works. You can find the Vray Light Lister here on the Vray panel. And if you look up here, you can see 4 subdivisions of our panel. Mainly we will use only the all lights and selected lights, but I'll talk about all them. If I'll open all lights, you can see that I got the list of all the lights that I have in the scene and also their settings. If we got a specific light, it's a lot easier to select that light and then change that from the light lister. We can create here sets of lights, and we got the refresh button as well. So let's get back to all lights. This is like the main menu that we will use all the time. And the reason why it is a so powerful tool is because we can control all the lights or the hierarchy of our lights. This is crucial, especially for interior design where we have a lot of lights and we will have to control all that lights. For example, you can see here I have a Vray sun. It's turned off for now, but I can go to the light lister and I can find that sun in the list. And from here I can enable the sun and you can see its effect in the render. So instead of selecting the sun and then going to modify, it's a lot easier to do that from the light lister. This is especially useful when we got sets of lights in our scene and those sets are grouped, for example. I'll select the sun and I'll try to compare the options that you see here in the light lister and the options that we got in the modify. By the way, if I will select only the sun and I'll go to selected lights, you will see that we will have only the sun in our list. That's why this option, selected lights, is very useful when we have grouped lights, so we don't have to ungroup and then play with every single light. So let's try to compare, as I said, the options. You can see here we can turn off and on the sun. Next we got the intensity of our sun. Although we said that we will not change the intensity, we will raise the sun instead. And a few secondary options as well, but the main features are the turn on and off and the intensity. That's why this light lister is like a quick access to main features of our lights. If you need the advanced options, then you'll have to select the light and go to modify. Let me get back a bit to all lights and I'll try to switch off a few lights so you can see how we can work with them. I got here in the scene a few lights that are left from the previous projects. They are not affecting the render and I will switch them off. But a bit lower we got the lights that are actually affecting our scene. You can see that in the render. That's why if you are not sure during an interior project how intense should be a specific light, the easiest way is to turn off the lights around that light and then adjust it using your eyes. For example, you can see here the light source for the standing lamp. We can switch off and on our light. Next we can rename our lights, so it's a lot easier to understand with what light we are playing or working. Next we got here the intensity. You can play here with the multiplier and adjust visually, as we said, the intensity of our light. Let's increase it a bit, for example to 700, and you can see that the light is too bright. Keep in mind, you'll have to adjust the hierarchy of all your lights in every interior project. That's why you'll have to adjust first the lights and then you'll have to adjust the overall lighting appearance. Next you can see here a few options that are common to Vray lights. We talked about them when we passed the lessons with Vray lights. Let me actually open both the modify options so we can see those options first there, and then we will compare them with the Vray Light Lister. You can see here the light temperature as well. This is crucial especially for interiors. Next we got the type of Vray light. In this case we got a sphere, and we also got here the units that we will use for our light. And as you can see in the modify options and in the light lister, those options are doubled. So first you can change the type of light if you need to, and then you can change the units that you are using for your light. Next we got the effect diffuse, effect specular and effect reflections. These are the main 3 factors that influence how light is impacting our objects in the scene. We also got the atmospheric effects, but we are not using that too often. That's why, as you saw already in the light lister, we got the main features that usually affect our scene. And one more thing that we will have to talk about is the general settings. Well, we are not using too often this option, but still I would like to show a few features from here. First of all, you can see here 2 options. We got the selected lights and all lights. Well, usually we are using all lights. So in the case when you are trying to create some kind of mood in your scene, or you are trying to influence the overall appearance of all your lights, so you don't have to bother and change every light in particular, you can use from here, for example, the color to create a common color or a single color for all your lights. You can use the multiplier as well to control the intensity. This is like an overall intensity multiplier. If I'll multiply it to 100, you can see the effect in the render. Let's get back to the previous settings, to the default settings, and I would like to show one more feature, the global tint. When we have bigger scenes, sometimes we'll have to stop the render and then start it one more time so it updates. The global tint will affect the tint of our lights in the scene. Let's pick, for example, a green, and let's see what will happen in our render. So as you can see, sometimes it doesn't update, so I'll have to stop the render and then I'll start it one more time. We usually use global tint feature when we are trying to create some kind of effects in our scene, or when we are trying to bring all our lights in the scene to be in a specific color range. You can already see the green tint in our lamps, and now I'll try to increase the multiplier so you can see better the effect. By the way, you can see some kind of update even in the scene in our real time. Let's try to increase this multiplier to 100 and let's see what happens in our render. First of all, keep in mind this will be just an effect. Now we can see clear the green light tint, and we can see how it is affecting our render and our scene. And you can try to use this feature if you are trying to create some kind of mood inside your interiors, but as I said, this is more just like an effect. Meanwhile, let me activate all the lights so you can see how it affects the entire scene, and we will be able to see how that green tint is actually affecting all the render. One thing that I would like to add here about interior design rules. If you are creating some kind of effects, or you are trying to create some pictures with interiors, well, these effects are okay. But if you are creating interior design using standards, you should stick to these effects only in the secondary images. Well, I think that's it for this lesson and for this part. I think now it's very clear why we are using the Vray light lister and how we can control the lights in our scene using it. It is a true powerful instrument to control the lights in your scene. And of course, I would say that you should take advantage using it. Well, for now that's it, and I'll see you at the next lesson.